Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
This is a Dynamite Network podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we're going to find out who would win in a fight between Jubilee of the X-Men and Static of the Milestone comic imprint from DC.
Right, both of these characters had hit shows in the late 90s and early 2000s. They both wear jackets, they both sport eye gear.
They both shoot sparkly things from their fingers.
Well, I mean, Static does a lot more than that, which is probably why he's going to win.
Now, Jubilee shoots fireworks, okay? And no little sparkly little lightning things are going to compete with the power of fireworks, as everyone should know this 4th of July season. Like, you go outside during the 4th of July and you hear all those explosions. Yeah, it's because they're fucking explosions. They're loud. They rattle your windows. It's really annoying. If you're a grown-ass adult like me, your dog probably gets pissed off. But yeah, it's potent stuff.
Oh yeah, it's almost like, you know, when lightning strikes and there's thunder?
No, that doesn't happen.
Okay. Well, this is going to be an interesting matchup, I think. We'll find out who's going to win later on in this episode.
But before that, we're going to break down the latest comic book movie news to come out this past week, of which we just have one news item, and that is the Fantastic Four First Steps final trailer. As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic. Guys, our artificially intelligent duel simulator, AJ9K, has a quick message for our listeners, so listen up.
Why, hello there. Do you want even more from this podcast? Then become a part of the Dynamic Duel community on Patreon, where you can choose from 3 tiers. The Dynamic 2.0 tier gives you access to our Discord chat server, the Fantastic 4 tier gives you 2 bonus episodes each month, and the X-Force tier makes you an executive producer of this show. Lastly, the Dynamite Podcast Network tier lets you create your own podcast using this Monte Carlo simulator. Johnny and Joe will help you develop your show, provide graphic support and consultation, and get you simulation results. Pitch the twins your ideas via email at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. Check it out at patreon.com/dynamicduel. Pip pip cheerio.
Thanks, AJ9K, and thanks to everyone who supports the podcast. Be sure to tune in to the other shows in the Dynamite Podcast Network this week, including the Console Combat Podcast, where hosts John and Dean simulate battles between popular video game characters. In yesterday's episode, they determined who would win between Sora from Kingdom Hearts and Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles.
Over on the Max Destruction podcast, hosts Scotty and Gilly pit your favorite action heroes from film and television against each other. This week, the brothers are pitting John Wick against the Equalizer.
Over on the Senjo World podcast, host Zachary Hepburn speculates on fights between fan-favorite anime and manga characters. In his next episode, Zach is going to reveal who would win between Aoi Todo of Jujutsu Kaisen and Ryo Shimazaki of Mob Psycho 100.
Visit dynamicpodcasts.com or click the link in our show notes to listen to all the shows in the Dynamite Podcast Network. But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize! A No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on Instagram for the person that we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week we asked you guys, besides the Punisher and obviously Daredevil, which of the former Marvel Netflix characters would you most want to see in the next Spider-Man film? And this is coming off the news that it has been confirmed that the Punisher is going to be in the next Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. We got 5 answers total, so let's go down our 3 honorable mentions and the No Prize winner.
Our first honorable mention goes to Alex Albro, who said,
I think Nuke should be the one from the Netflix universe to be in the Spider-Man movie. He's a real grounded character who could be an Act 1 villain, Or he could be on the Punisher side, and they're going crazy throughout New York, and then either the Punisher kind of sees the evil of his ways and stops Nuke, or Spider-Man stops them before they all go crazy. Or maybe Spider-Man just gets the symbiotes and everybody's crazy in a really allegedly grounded movie. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good answer because Nuke was in the first 2 seasons of Jessica Jones. I guess the one issue with this answer is that Nuke died in Jessica Jones. But he was played by Will Travel, and I thought he was actually really good in the role. Kind of a bizarro take on Captain America in a different way that John Walker was. For those who may not know who Nuke is, he's like a super soldier, but he takes these pills to get his physical enhancements. He played a big part of the Born Again Daredevil comic book storyline, but I can see how elements of that could be incorporated into the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, great answer, Alex. Our next honorable mention goes to Lorenzo Valdez, who said,
"This is Lorenzo Valdez calling in once again. The Netflix character that I think is perhaps most likely to appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day would be Karen, given that we already know that the Punisher is now going to be in the movie. But I also will say that I think we would really be missing out if we never got to see a confrontation between Kingpin and Spider-Man in the MCU. Klana forever and always. Bye-bye."
Yeah, Karen Page has been a big part of the storylines for both Daredevil and Punisher. So if Punisher is making an appearance in the Spider-Man movie, it would not surprise me if Karen was also there.
Yeah, she's kind of the supporting character that bridges a lot of the gaps between the Daredevil and Punisher series. And I think she's Frank's strongest consistent supporting character throughout all of his appearances. So great answer, Lorenzo. Our next honorable mention goes to Cyrus Moore, who said,
"Hey guys, Cyrus Moore. So what I really want to see is I don't want to see the Punisher or Daredevil in this new Spider-Man movie. I want to see Iron Fist, because with Iron Fist, we could bring over Luke Cage in the same movie, maybe introduce Nova, recast Flash Thompson, that way we can get an Agent Venom, have White Tiger, then we can have an Ultimate Spider-Man movie, and introduce a bunch of characters and have an amazing team up. And that would just be awesome."
Yeah, this is kind of going along the lines of why we asked this question of the week to begin with, because incorporating the Punisher into the Spider-Man series kind of makes it seem like the story is going to take a more grounded street level approach, and that would be a good opportunity to bring in other like Defenders characters from the Netflix series. And yeah, I think Iron Fist is a strong candidate, especially, if they give the guy some good fight choreography this time and he follows through with it. I think Danny Rand would be a good addition. And then also bring in like Luke Cage and other characters like Agent Venom. Although Cyrus mentioned recasting Flash Thompson for the role of Agent Venom, and I think Tony Revolori could pull it off.
Yeah, he's kind of on the smaller end, but that doesn't really bother me because he's a good actor.
Tom Hardy himself is a little bit on the smaller end, He's only like 3 inches taller than Tony Revolori, so.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, great answer, Cyrus. We want to give a quick shout out to Sheldon Moore for taking the time to visit our website and record an answer. But the winner of this week's No Prize is Lee Tapscott, who said,
"Which character from the Netflix Marvel series I would like to see in the Spider-Man movie? The character of Kingpin. I mean, he was originally a Spider-Man enemy, and with him being like the mayor of New York right now, he could be going after Spider-Man for, being an unregistered superhero or whatever he's after."
Yeah, I guess this all really depends on how Daredevil Born Again Season 2 kind of shapes up with Daredevil's battle going up against Mayor Kingpin. But yeah, I think it would be fantastic to have Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin be the primary antagonist for the Spider-Man Brand New Day film, especially if you have like the Punisher and maybe even Daredevil show up and they all team up to go up against him.
Oh yeah, totally. When we asked this question, I really wasn't looking for the Defenders characters. I was looking for Kingpin. And since Lee Tapscott gave only that answer and no one else, that's why he gets this week's No Prize win.
Yeah, I think it would just feel right, considering he's right in that the Kingpin was originally a Spider-Man villain before he was a Daredevil villain. And, with the Punisher making his first appearance in the Spider-Man comic books too, everything just seems to dovetail nicely in regards to a Spider-Man street-level crime story.
So great answer, Lee. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on in this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week.
And now that that's done,
on to the news. All
All right, this past week we got the final trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps film, which comes out in just a few weeks here on July 25th. It's our final good look at the movie before it comes out, and I gotta say, it's the best trailer that's come out yet. I think it has a lot of scenes and moments that I think will get a lot of people excited, what they were probably looking for in a trailer since the beginning. Because we get a good introduction and good look at the heroes and their costumes. We get to see a lot of action of them going up against Galactus. And we get to see everybody's powers, including Reed stretching and Sue creating her invisible force fields, the Thing smashing through stuff, and, the Human Torch flying, the Fantastic Car flying.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they kind of waited until the final trailer to really showcase the special effects, considering the film is very CG heavy. And I got to say, the special effects look amazing in this film. I love the feel and visual tone of the movie.
Galactus looks like he's going to be freaking awesome. The more I see of this character, because in the previous trailer, we just got a shot of his legs as he was walking through the city. And in the trailer before that, we just got a shot of his shadow looking over Manhattan. But here, while we don't get to see his face, we get to see pretty much the rest of his body. And I think it's going to look incredible on the big screen with all the intricate details that they actually have on his suit. The scale of him is going to be, I think, pretty awe-inspiring when we finally get to see him. We got another look at Shala Ball's Silver Surfer, played by Julia Garner, who has a little bit more dialogue in this trailer as she heralds the coming of Galactus. I thought her voice treatment was pretty good. Again, still not thrilled about this not being Nora and Rad, but we've talked about that on this podcast before.
I actually didn't love her delivery. Now, Julia Garner is a good actress, so I was kind of surprised. It sounded like to me she was asking questions. I herald your end, maybe?
That wasn't a question mark, it was a comma.
The whole thing was question marks.
She's an alien. Maybe that's their style of diction. You don't know. Do you speak alien? Are you from another planet?
Sounded
Sometimes
like
I
fucking
wonder.
English to me.
It's English, but it's alien English, okay?
Oh, okay.
Calm down. It's totally fine. It looks like at some point in the movie, the Fantastic Four fly up to Galactus' spaceship, which I think is going to be a cool scene. And that's where they, they almost die in the process coming back down to Earth. There's a really nice acting moment with Pedro Pascal when reporters ask him if everything's going to be okay. And he gives the honest answer of, I don't know, which is a big deal for Reed Richards, considering he's regarded as the smartest man in the world, and he should have the answers. We get a few shots of baby Franklin Richards, and his appearance makes me think that maybe he's going to be used as a MacGuffin of sorts. I hope they don't do some kind of Deus Ex Machina where the baby ends up saving the day, because he's an all-powerful reality warper in the comic books.
Yeah, it was interesting to see him as a baby. I don't think I've ever really seen him as an infant in the comics. Usually he's a little boy, right? So
Right.
I thought it was interesting that in the previous trailer, we have Sue and Reed finding out that they're pregnant. But then in this trailer, the baby's already here. So it makes me wonder about how long of a time frame this film takes place in.
Yeah, definitely over the course of a year, right? Considering the kid looks about 8 to 10 months old within these shots. Maybe the Silver Surfer comes and warns everybody, tells them they have a year before Galactus comes or something like that. Who knows?
Interesting.
There's a running gag throughout the trailer where people are trying to get Ben Grimm the Thing to say it's clobbering time, which is his catchphrase in the in-universe cartoon that they have about the Fantastic Four. And it's pretty funny. Johnny tries multiple times to try to get him to say it, including an interesting scene where he's carrying the Thing while flying, but the Thing has a beard. He has a full-on mustache and beard combo made out of rock that I've never seen anything like that before in the comic books. I've seen the Hulk with a beard, but I don't think I've ever seen the Thing with a beard. I didn't even think that he could grow a beard. And I feel like it raises all sorts of questions regarding Ben Grimm's body hair.
Does he have pubes?
Or armpit hair? Does it crystallize out of his armpits and he has to shave all this stuff? It's really bizarre. I don't like it. I don't like Thing with a beard. I hope he loses it. I hope he doesn't have it for, the climax of the film.
And it's why doesn't he have hair on top of his head?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. Does he not shave his eyebrows? And so, is that why they're so bulky and big?
Oh, that's interesting. Are the beetle brows hair? Rock hair. Wow.
I think it's just a kind of an uncomfortable subject, and I don't want to think about Ben Grimm's pubes, so I'd rather just stop discussing it.
Yeah, and his ass hair. I don't want to think about that.
All in all, I was really pleased by this trailer, and I am really hoping that it provides the level of excitement that the film needs in order to do well at the box office. Again, it's only coming out 2 weeks after the Superman film. Hopefully, Fantastic Four just bites a huge chunk out of the Superman final box office. That way I can gloat in front of Jonathan. But speaking of the DC and Marvel summer blockbusters that come out in July, that brings us to our question of the week.
What movie do you think will be making more at the worldwide box office? Superman or the Fantastic Four First Steps? And why?
And this includes the entire duration of their theatrical runs worldwide. By the end, what's your best guess as to who's coming out on top and will ultimately be the more popular film?
Yes, and why is it Superman? Record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message could be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and award that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to Instagram. Be sure to answer before July 5th.
But that does it for all the news for this episode, so let's go ahead and move into our main event, where we find out who would win in a fight between the teen heroes of Static and Jubilee. All right, Static versus Jubilee. This particular matchup was an idea by the executive producers. We've been trying to get Static in a duel matchup forever, basically, since the start of this podcast. So I'm surprised that we're just getting to him now, because we really enjoyed his cartoon, Static Shock, on the WB as kids. And we also loved the 90s X-Men cartoon, of which Jubilee played a major role, especially within, that first season.
Right, exactly. We have these two young teen heroes who are encountering new worlds filled with superpowers for the first time from their respective cartoons that were popular when we were kids. We watched the heck out of those shows. But we're really doing this episode now in lead up to the 4th of July holiday, since Jubilee has fireworks powers, essentially. We thought this would be a fun episode to do.
Yeah, so when you go out there and see all of the fireworks displays this holiday, you could just think about, dang, Jubilee really shoots those out of her fingertips. She really did fuck Static up that episode.
Yeah, or maybe during your 4th of July weekend, there happens to be a thunderstorm and you're seeing all of the crazy lightning and thunder, and you're like, whoa, that's way more scary than fireworks. I'm so glad Static won, because he should have.
We will see what happens. But to explain the methodology behind our duels, let's go to our sentient duel simulator, Alfred Jarvis 9000. AJ9K, tell our listeners how you go about determining a winner in our duel matchups.
Yes, of course, sir. The way I determine a winner between the contestants is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using the character's statistics. A Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling. In this case, I randomize the statistics along a normal distribution as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters are based on the official Marvel power grid, from which the DC characters' statistics are extrapolated. Additional stat categories are included, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more detailed and accurate simulation. The results of the 1,000 simulations provide a percentage of wins for each character. The contestant with the higher percentage is declared the victor, as they have a higher probability to win any given battle. In an equitable pairing, neither character should win 100% of the matches. The comic book stories have shown that there's even a way for Batman to defeat Superman, so the confidence rate of my method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the source material. My mathematical simulations are without subjectivity or bias. Feats are not the sole consideration, nor are fan votes tabulated for determination of the winner.
Thanks, AJ9K. Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations would play out beat for beat. And it is my turn to go first with the DC character's backstory, so let me tell you all about Static. Now, within the Dakotaverse, also known as Earth M, Virgil Ovid Hawkins grew up in Dakota City, a fictional Midwestern city plagued by crime, poverty, and social tension. Virgil was a bright, science-loving teenager who adored comic books, video games, and all things pop culture. His intelligence and interests often made him a target for bullies at Ernest Hemingway High School, especially Martin Biz Money B Scapone. Despite the harassment, Virgil maintained strong friendships with classmates like Frida Gorin and Larry Wade. Quietly, he harbored feelings for Frida, not realizing she was dating Larry. One night, after enduring yet another beating at the hands of Martin and his friends, Virgil reached his breaking point. Pressured by Larry, he went to Paris Island with a gun, intent on confronting his tormentor. In the end, he could not bring himself to commit an act of violence, and he tossed the weapon into a river, choosing to walk away instead. At that moment, however, the police arrived to break up a massive gang brawl nearby, which would later be known as the Big Bang. The police unleashed experimental tear gas infused with a mutagenic agent known as quantum juice. The gas was originally designed as a radioactive tracing agent to track criminals, but instead caused horrifying mutations, transferring many who survived into superpowered beings known as Bang Babies. Virgil survived the event and discovered he had developed electromagnetic powers. Inspired by his love of superheroes and driven by a sense of justice, he crafted a homemade costume and adopted the name Static, determined to protect his city. As Static, Virgil quickly realized that being a hero was far more challenging than he had ever imagined. His first major battle was against Hotstreak, the pyrokinetic form of his former bully Martin Scapone. Initially overpowered, Static rallied to defend Frida, who discovered his identity and became his closest confidant. She supported his mission, but also reminded him of the importance of balance, as his dual life strained his friendships, academics, and family responsibilities. Virgil struggled to keep jobs and saw his grades slip, discovering that heroism demanded countless personal sacrifices. Over time, his enemies grew more dangerous. Static fought criminals like Commando X, who sought to divide the city through fear and chaos, and Holocaust, a ruthless energy-wielding villain and former member of the Blood Syndicate, which was a powerful gang of metahumans trying to impose their own control on Dakota City. He faced unpredictable metahumans like Tarmac, Rubber Band Man, and Puff, and even reality-bending threats such as Riff. Despite these challenges, Virgil continued to push forward, using his intelligence and scientific mind to outwit foes as much as overpower them. His analytical nature allowed him to develop creative tactics, including using electromagnetic fields to deflect bullets, immobilize enemies, and hack into communication systems. He built his iconic flying disc, known as the Static Saucer, which allowed him to soar through the city and pursue criminals with speed and precision. Virgil's personal life, however, became increasingly complicated. His brief romance with the mysterious metahuman Dusk offered him hope and escape, but it ended in tragedy when she sacrificed herself to save civilians from a fire. This loss, combined with the death of his close friend Larry during a failed drug operation, pushed Virgil to the brink of giving up his heroic identity altogether. Grieving and questioning whether his actions truly made a difference, he stepped away from the mantle of Static to try and reclaim a normal life. Dakota, however, could not be left unprotected. When Bang Babies began mysteriously disappearing, Virgil discovered the culprit was John Tower, a once heroic figure turned power-hungry villain. Teaming up with other heroes, Virgil led a mission to confront Tower, free the captives, and restore hope to his city. Through this ordeal, he reaffirmed his commitment to heroism, but vowed to approach it with more balance, choosing to protect Dakota on his own terms rather than being consumed by guilt or duty. Following the merging of the Dakotaverse and the main DC universe, Static joined the Teen Titans. Initially haunted by trauma from his time as a captive fighter in the Dark Side Club's underground tournaments, he struggled to fit in. However, he eventually found camaraderie and purpose with his new teammates, forming bonds with Aqua Girl, Blue Beetle, and Wonder Girl. His brilliance as a scientist and inventor shone through when he designed a special stabilizing suit for Kid Flash, saving him from a potentially fatal molecular breakdown. You, of course, can learn more about the Teen Titans in our Titans vs. X-Men Duel episode. His time with the Titans provided Virgil with something he had long craved, a surrogate family who understood his struggles and stood by him. He proved himself as both a capable fighter and a supportive friend, earning the respect and affection of the team. Eventually, Virgil returned to Dakota after hearing that a deadly virus was sweeping through the city, infecting many residents, including his sister Sharon. Investigating its origin, he confronted Holocaust, who had orchestrated the plague as part of a power scheme. In the ensuing conflict, Static was captured and imprisoned in a containment unit designed to neutralize his abilities. Ultimately, the Teen Titans arrived to rescue him, and together they defeated Holocaust. After reuniting with his family and Frida, Virgil decided to return to San Francisco with the Titans, telling his parents he had been accepted into a quantum physics fellowship to protect his secret life. Although his ties to home remained strained, he carried with him a renewed sense of resolve and community. In the post-Flashpoint timeline, Virgil and his family moved to New York City following a traumatic event that left his sister Sharon split into two identical versions of herself. Virgil began working as an intern at Star Labs under the guidance of Hardware, a brilliant technological hero. There he received advanced equipment, including a new high-tech suit and an upgraded, versatile flying disc. In New York, Virgil faced new adversaries, including the powerful Sunspot and Viral, a living virus entity. Despite these challenges, he continued to support his fellow heroes, even helping Red Robin redesign his cape and glider apparatus, showcasing his technical genius. When the Dakotaverse was later rebooted, Virgil's origin was revised so that he gained his powers during a violent clash at a Black Lives Matter protest, confronting Hotstreak shortly after. Once he stepped into the hero role, he exposed government corruption and rescued kidnapped bank babies, solidifying his reputation as Dakota's guardian. And that's Static's backstory. Power-wise, Static can generate, absorb, and manipulate electromagnetic energy, enabling him to produce powerful electrical attacks, magnetize objects, and create static cling fields to immobilize opponents or anchor objects. He can generate electromagnetic force fields, which act as protective barriers against projectiles and energy blasts. Using magnetic levitation, he flies on a metal disc, the Static Saucer, which also doubles as a weapon and shield in combat. His scientific intellect rivals some of the DC Universe's greatest minds, allowing him to build custom gear and analyze complex threats. His powers, however, are ineffective against insulators such as wood and rubber, and that remains among his few physical limitations.
I didn't know that the Milestone universe got rebooted.
Yeah, it did. I think around the Rebirth era, they took a new crack at the Dakotaverse.
That was pretty interesting how they decided to contemporize it by making it part of tear gas used during like a protest or something like that. That's definitely a more interesting way to modernize Origin from like the original gang violence kind of angle that they went with during the character's conception.
Yeah, I think the creators of Milestone Comics always want their characters to remain relevant in a modern day setting and context. So what they did, I thought, was an interesting approach.
For sure, yeah. Also, I forgot that Static is pretty smart, too. He's like a smart kid, inventor kid.
Yeah, really smart.
That may come to hurt Jubilee because she's notoriously not good at math. She has something called dyscalculia, I think, which is not like a measure of intelligence or anything like that, but it just means that she has difficulty processing numbers in her head. Kind of similar to like how a dyslexic has trouble reading.
Interesting. Okay.
But who cares, because math's not going to probably show up in this speculation at all. Let me go ahead and tell you more about Jubilee. Jubilation Jubilee Lee was born in Beverly Hills, California to two Chinese-American doctors who had built a comfortable life after immigrating from Hong Kong. She loved arcade games and excelled at gymnastics, with coaches whispering about the Olympics. Her world ended, however, when hired gunmen murdered her parents outside their home. Orphaned at 13, Jubilee ran from foster care and turned the giant Hollywood Mall into a secret hideout. She stole food and earned spare change by shooting bright, sparkling fireworks from her hands, her newly awakened mutant power. Mall managers hired the M Squad, a group paid to capture mutants. During a chase through the food court, Jubilee's panic set off a blinding blast. At the same moment, 4 X-Men, Storm, Rogue, Psylocke, and Dazzler, happened to be shopping. They drove the hunters off, and Jubilee saw that they were heroes. Their ally Gateway, a silent teleporter, opened a portal for the team. Before it closed, Jubilee secretly slipped through and found herself at the X-Men's temporary base in the Australian desert. You can learn more about the X-Men in their duel against the Titans. Unsure the famous mutants would trust a runaway, she hid in tunnels for weeks, sewing together a bright yellow jacket from Dazzler's spare clothes. Trouble hit when the Reavers, brutal cyborg outlaws, stormed the base and nailed Wolverine to a metal X. Jubilee refused to leave him. She freed him and stayed by his side, scavenging water and supplies while his healing factor did the rest. A rescue that forged the father and daughter bond that would shape her life. The Reavers kept hunting, so the pair fled to Madripoor, a crime-ridden island in Southeast Asia. There they battled the Mandarin, who ruled local gangs with help from the Hand, a deadly ninja clan. Jubilee's fireworks blew a hole in the Mandarin's fortress and helped free Psylocke from brainwashing. You can learn more about Wolverine in his duel against Hawkman, and more about Psylocke in her duel against Gorilla Grodd. News of mutant slavery pulled the trio to Genosha, an island nation that forced mutants into hard labor. Jubilee guided depowered mutants Boom Boom and Richter through patrols until other X-teams toppled the government. Professor Charles Xavier, impressed by her courage, invited her to a school in Westchester, New York. Joining Cyclops, Beast, and Rogue on the X-Men Blue Team, Jubilee helped them fight villains such as Sauron, the Sentinels, and the Brood. She even escaped Mojo, a tyrant from another dimension who showed her an enslaved future version of herself named Abscissa, a future she swore to avoid. A time portal later let Jubilee witness the night her parents died. Armed with the killer's faces, she tracked them but chose jail over revenge after Wolverine's advice. Her grief continued though when her young friend Magic died of the legacy virus, Magneto ripped metal from Wolverine's bones, and Sabretooth broke free inside the mansion. Shaking off the terror, Jubilee fired a neutralizer gun and knocked Sabretooth out when the mansion's defenses failed. You can learn more about Sabretooth in his duel against Killer Croc. Not long after, techno-organic aliens called the Phalanx captured many senior X-Men. Jubilee teamed with Banshee, Emma Frost, and even Sabretooth to rescue the captives and several young mutants. Realizing she needed peers her own age, she moved to the Massachusetts Academy to help form a new school and team called Generation X, under the teachers Banshee and Emma Frost. Her classmates were Husk, Sync, Monet, Chamber, and Skin, and their school days mixed algebra with combat drills. They fought foes such as Juggernaut, Omega Red, and Emplate, her classmate Monet's vampiric brother. During the nationwide Operation Zero Tolerance initiative, government agents kidnapped Jubilee to steal X-Men secrets. She blasted the guards while escaping, stopped to give one guard CPR, was recaptured, and then was freed by a sympathetic aide. Wolverine brought her home, but soon after, hacked security codes let the enemy raid the X-Mansion. Soon after, she learned that a businessman named Hunter Braun had arranged for her parents' death. Jubilee and her friends tracked him down, and she destroyed his warehouse before police arrested him, finally giving her closure. Generation X broke apart after teammate Sync died defusing a bomb, and the school closed. Jubilee and Skin tried acting in Los Angeles, but found only stereotypical roles. Her former teacher Banshee then formed X-Corps, a mutant police force unit which Jubilee, Husk, and Monet joined. They stopped riots in Paris, blinded the giant blob, and stopped a plot by Mystique before the group fell apart. Hate preachers called to the Church of Humanity soon kidnapped Jubilee, Skin, and others and crucified them on the X-Men lawn. Angel's healing blood saved her, but Skin died, deepening her grief. She moved in with her long-lost rich aunt named Hope in Los Angeles, only to learn that Hope was a secret assassin. A clash with her former boss leveled the house, and Jubilee returned to the X-Men. Later, the Scarlet Witch warped reality in an act that erased most of mutant kind's powers, including Jubilee's. She opened a halfway house in Queens for depowered mutants, but was badly hurt when Omega Red attacked it. After healing, she joined Night Thrasher's tech-based New Warriors. Wearing anti-gravity gauntlets, she took the name Wondra and helped train her fellow teammates. Trust broke, though, when Night Thrasher hid a risky time machine plan. After casualties and chaos, the New Warriors disbanded. You can learn more about that team in their duel against Infinity Inc. While meeting friends in San Francisco, Jubilee was turned into a vampire by Xeris, the son of Dracula, whom you can learn more about in his duel against Andrew Bennett. Wolverine rescued her and the X-Men toppled Xeris, but Jubilee remained undead. She relied on Wolverine's blood and a mystic pendant to endure weak sunlight. She trained with a group of Daywalker vampires who taught her how to control her vampiric impulses. Teaming with Wolverine's clone, a former brainwashed killer called X-23, helped both women manage their darker urges. You can learn more about X-23 in her duel against Cassandra Cain Batgirl. On a later trip to Budapest, Jubilee found an abandoned baby boy. She named him Shogo and took him to the rebuilt Jean Grey School for Higher Learning. Storm helped Jubilee complete the adoption process. Headmistress Kitty Pride, seeing Jubilee's growth, asked her to mentor a class of misfit students: Quentin Quire, Bling, Eyeboy, Nature Girl, Morph, and Hindsight. Her old friend Chamber co-taught alongside her, and their friendship became romance. Trouble struck when Monet, merged with her vampire brother Amplate, invaded the school and stole Jubilee's sunlight pendant. Quentin sacrificed a shard that he had of the powerful Phoenix Force to save his teacher, curing Jubilee's vampirism and restoring her mutant abilities. Professor Xavier then announced Krakoa, a living island where mutants could live free. Jubilee and Shogo moved there and joined Betsy Braddock, Rogue, Gambit, Richter, and even Apocalypse on a new team called Excalibur. While exploring Otherworld, a magic realm linked by a portal, fairy energy temporarily turned Shogo into a dragon. When he was hurt by enemy soldiers, Jubilee's fireworks scattered the attackers, and she calmed her son as he healed. You can learn more about Otherworld and the Excalibur team in our Uncle Sam vs. Captain Britain duel episode. The mutants of Krakoa later held their first Hellfire Gala, a grand party meant to show mutant progress. The anti-mutant group Orcus and the war robot Nimrod attacked them, and Jubilee was killed in the fight. However, within days, she was restored to life on Krakoa via a combination of other mutants' powers. And that's Jubilee's history. Powers-wise, Jubilee is a mutant with the ability to produce explosive light blasts in the form of multicolored energy plasmoids that she refers to and highly resemble fireworks. She can control their intensity in terms of brightness and explosive potential, meaning she can generate the energy bright enough to blind opponents, which is why she wears big sunglasses, or powerful enough to blast your face off at close proximity, just like a firework. And that's a reminder to be safe out there this year, kids. Taken to her utmost limit, Jubilee can manifest a light blast so powerful that it turns her whole body sparkly and can obliterate a starship. In addition, for some reason, she has natural psionic shields that make her slippery to telepathic detection, possibly developed as a safeguard from her powers manifesting as a runaway, but I'm not sure what that has to do with energy plasmoids. Maybe she has like little plasmoids running around her brain distorting the electrical fields that make her difficult to detect. But yeah, telepaths have trouble finding her. Finally, Jubilee is an Olympic-level gymnast and is an adept hand combatant, having undergone some fight training with Wolverine.
That's really interesting because Static actually has telepathic resistance as well, and I have no idea why. I didn't list it in his power set because I didn't really think it would factor into this match, but it's weird that both characters have that.
I wasn't even going to mention the telepathic resistance thing, but she does have like a number of feats regarding those psionic shields.
Weird.
It's something that I actually learned about the character during the process of my research for this bio.
Well, not that it matters.
Yeah, there's not going to be any telepathy or math.
Maybe some math. Maybe a little bit of math.
In a world where fantasies collide and heroes clash, one podcast network rises above the rest. Prepare yourself for the ultimate showdowns in comic books, video games, movies, and anime. The Dynamite Podcast Network presents Console Combat, where video game legends brawl every Monday. Dynamic Duel, where comic book titans smash every Tuesday. Max Destruction, where TV and action heroes battle every Wednesday. And Sendro World, where anime champions clash every Thursday. Join us as we speculate on the matches and, armed with the power of mathematical simulations, discover who will emerge victorious. Visit dynamicpodcast.com, where we settle the debate and settle the score.
Now that we got their histories and abilities out of the way, let's speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner's determined by simulations, not the speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out. AJ9K, what are the rules of our speculation?
Well, I should say there are no rules, other than the characters have no prior knowledge of the other going into the fight. All they are aware of starting out is that the other character is a threat that needs to be eliminated. For the speculation, the contestants will begin approximately 50 meters apart in a nondescript environment that will have no bearing on the match itself, as no environmental statistics are considered in my simulations. The contestants must earn victory on their own merit.
All right, then, let's get into it. Static and Jubilee meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? I'm going to say that Static goes first, and he'll start off by hopping onto his saucer and zipping right over to Jubilee, blasting her with electric bolts as he flies circles around her.
Okay, but Jubilee, she's going to dodge these blasts.
What?
'Cause she's super agile. So she's doing back handsprings and flips and stuff to evade his blasts. And while in midair, she's going to shoot out a plasmoid blast that has the light intensity of like a flashbang. And that's going to blind Static. And so he can't see where he's flying on his saucer, and he ends up crashing it into the ground and just fucking his shit up.
I'm calling BS on dodging electricity, all right? But sure, let's say she gets lucky and manages to dodge all of these electric strikes, but she's definitely not blinding him because he wears sunglasses as part of his costume. So he does crash, actually, but intentionally, into her real hard.
Well, I mean, like, Jubilee's right up there with, like, Nightwing and Daredevil in terms of agility. So, like, if Nightwing and like, Batman can dodge a hail of bullets, I think it's reasonable to say that she can dodge Static's blasts. It's more about anticipating where the blast is going to go than, you know, being able to move faster than a bullet or lightning or something like that. And, in fact, she's so agile, when Static tries to crash into her, Jubilee flips over him and she clotheslines him off of his saucer, knocking him to the ground. And then she unloads a plasmoid blast at his saucer that's powerful enough to destroy it, so he can't fly around anymore.
Actually, his saucer is so agile and thin that it can just dodge her plasmoid blasts, all right? Because even though Static's not on it, he can still control it via electromagnetism. It's like a video game for him. And he's gonna zip that thing all around her fireworks and right into her, knocking her to the ground as well.
Well, I mean, if it's coming at her, you know, if she missed blasting it earlier, she's not going to miss as it's approaching her. She's going to throw her hands up and unload a fireworks display all around in like a 15-foot radius. And that is definitely going to destroy the saucer.
Sure, fine. But Static himself is protected from the fireworks since he's going to throw up this electromagnetic force field around him. And once the fireworks are over, that's when Static puts on his own show with this rapid fire homing chain lightning that there's no way Jubilee is going to dodge. So she gets shocked real hard and repeatedly.
No, she doesn't need to dodge it because she can still fight energy with energy. So she just blocks the lightning with counter blasts from her plasmoids, because essentially lightning energy is plasma anyway. So yeah, they would counter.
That's fair. Does Jubilee need her hands to emit plasmoids? Like, does it come from her hands?
No, not strictly. Like, she can fire plasmoids from her hands, or she could do things like create fireworks around herself without hand direction.
Okay. Well, you know, Static can create static fields that make things like magnetically attract and stick to each other. So I was going to have him stick her hands to her sides, but we'll say instead that he causes her head to magnetically attract to the floor. So she just drops straight down, and that's going to interrupt her counter blasts to his electricity, and so she for sure gets zapped.
How does he magnetize something like a head, which is non-magnetic, and make it attract to the ground, which is also non-magnetic? Like, that doesn't make any sense. He basically just has a sticky power.
Sort of. Well, anything with electrons can be magnetized. And that's one of his powers. He can magnetize things that can't typically be magnetized. Like, he once magnetized a guy's head so that all these guns were attracted to it, essentially. But yeah, so it's like a sticky, attractive power, and Jubilee just eats the floor.
Okay, so she may be stuck and trapped on the ground, but that's not going to matter because Jubilee can approach nuclear level with her blasts.
Okay.
So from the ground, she's just going to emit this fireworks show blasts that has like the energy of like 10 combined firework finales, like at a fireworks show. It's just explosions and colors everywhere that completely engulf Static, just vaporizing him with all of that destructive might.
Now, I'm guessing this is like 10 combined, like, Little League fireworks shows, right?
No, this is like 10 combined, like, Disneyland level finale fireworks shows.
Okay. Well, I mean, as this is going on, though, Static's just going to surround himself with the force field once again. And he's going to run up to her really quick as she's pinned to the ground. And he's going to taser touch her, which is going to overload her nervous system with electricity. That's going to cause her to stop with the fireworks. and just become paralyzed instead. So the match is over.
No, if he gets close enough for a taser touch, that means he's like well within proximity for Jubilee to just manifest an explosive plasmoid inside his force field.
What?
Because there doesn't have to be a direct line of sight there. Like Wolverine once told her that she could blow up people's heads from the inside if she wanted to. And in this instance, yeah, she wants to. So she pops off Static's head in the final fireworks display, and then it like manifests into the sparkly design that says, "I beat you," in fireworks letters.
What? Okay, so you're telling me that Jubilee can get through Magneto's force field? Is that what you're telling me? Like this whole time, all the X-Men needed to defeat Magneto was fucking Jubilee?
No, I would say that Static is not at the level of Magneto, so no, she couldn't get through Magneto's force field, but she could get through Static's for sure.
That's dumb. That's dumb. Let's end it here. Let's take it to the stats. Either Jubilee gets tased to the point of paralysis, or Jubilee essentially turns Static's head into a firework.
Let's go ahead and input the character stats, run the simulations, and find out which of those two scenarios is more likely to happen.
AJ9K, hit it.
Inputting data, running calculations, processing results, simulations complete.
All right, well, hopefully everybody's 4th of July is just as spectacular and colorful as this speculation was,
and are as impressive as Static's stats were, because he dominated Jubilee in so many categories, including speed, evasiveness, strength, since he could lift things with electromagnetism, intellect, and versatility.
Don't forget perception, because he can listen to radio waves with his powers.
Right.
Yeah, we said he was more evasive because he has his force field. He's faster because he can fly. But we did say that Jubilee has greater damage potential than Static does. And she's a better fighter, having received more training. Is that going to be enough to take this match? Maybe not, but also, yes.
That makes literally no sense.
Well, according to our Instagram followers, 72% of them also disagree with me, saying that Static would win.
Well, let's find out if that's the case. AJ9K, the results, please.
Here you are, sir.
The winner of the matchup between Static and Jubilee is Static. Of course, Static. This was not even close. He won 83.8% of the 1,000 matches, or 838 of the 1,000 battles, with Jubilee only winning 162, or 16.2%. This was a terrible match.
Well, the real question is, who could win in a fight between these two characters in a video game battle? Like, if they picked up their controllers, I'm guessing Jubilee would kick Static's ass.
No, Static has a degree of technopathy, so she would still lose.
No, powers aren't allowed in this video game tournament.
Says who?
It says me. I'm saying who's objectively better at video games. Jubilee is.
I mean, personality-wise, I think the two are fairly similar when it comes to how geeky they are. So a video game tournament would probably be closer than the results of this match were.
And that's what matters.
Hey, whatever helps you sleep at night. But that does it for this duel. AJ9K, help close us out.
Thanks for listening to Dynamic Duel. Visit the show's website at dynamicduel.com and follow us on Instagram at Dynamic Duel Podcast. You can support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/dynamicduel and joining a tier that works for you, or by rating and reviewing Dynamic Duel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or on our website. Don't forget to listen to the other shows in the Dynamite Podcast Network, including Max Destruction, Senjo World, and Console Combat.
In our next episode, we will be reviewing Season 1 of the Ironheart Marvel television series. I watched the first 3 episodes already. I'm really looking forward to the last 3 episodes, though.
Yeah, I haven't started the show yet. I have been rewatching Sandman Season 1 and lead up to Sandman Season 2, which starts this week. But yeah, I'll eventually get to Ironheart. That does it for this episode. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, John Starosky,
Zachary Hepburn,
Dustyn Balcom,
Miggy Matanguihan,
Nathaniel Wagner,
Levi Yeaton,
Austin Wesolowski,
AJ Dunkerley,
Nick Abanto,
Scott Camacho,
Gil Camacho,
Adam Speas,
Dean Maleski,
Devin Davis,
Joseph Kersting,
Josh Leiner,
Mike Williams,
Oscar Galvez,
and Paul Graves for helping make this podcast possible. We'll talk to you guys next week. Up and away!
True believers.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag, drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? You just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colours burst. Make 'em go. Oh, oh, oh. You're gonna leave 'em all in awe. Awe, awe.